Welcome, everyone, to another edition of WABA Whip Around. I'm your host, as always, Rich Quinones. This is an extremely fast-paced look at the weekend action in the WABA, including updates, recaps, and previews for this August 1st, 2025 already. And we always encourage you guys, first and foremost, don't forget you can get social with all the teams on their IG account as well as their YouTube channel. You can follow me. It's pretty easy to do at Rich Q on Q. That would be the YouTube channel, X, IG, proud to be the voice of the Louisiana Spice, who made some changes this weekend coming up with the roster, and they've got two coming up. So two opportunities to get their first win of the season. But as I mentioned, we got about 15 or so, 20 minutes to play with as we go around the league. We'll get you caught up to speed with some news and notes, also updates, standings, stats, players of the game, and of course, Q's top five, if you will, the power ranking. So where do we begin on this Friday? Well, how about this? Carolina on my mind. The Lady Cougars with the most lopsided win early on this season. Their offense absolutely just exploded. They've really had an easy time dismantling Atlanta. I know Atlanta was a short, you can say a team that was short with body, so to speak, but it was 115-36, 8 players with 6 or more points in the win. McDowell netted a team high 21 for the Lady Cougars. Now, that impressive win, did it have them sneaking into my top five, Q's top five? We shall see. All right, how about this? A little double trouble, if you will, for Utsby and, of course, Elisa Utsby for the Raleigh Aces. Big time effort, double, 18 points, 12 rebounds. Raleigh right now looks like the team to beat. They are just really starting to kind of flex that muscle. But I want to kind of give that shout out to Utsby here because the 2025 UNC grad, I mean, look at those accolades, right? Earned 4-time All ACC honors, holds the all-team leading rebounding record, scored 1,500 points, has the only triple-double in program history, and she's a double-double machine for the Aces. Well, I mentioned that the Spice have an opportunity to pick up a win this weekend. Now, it's pretty simple, right? They can either try to get that win Saturday against Atlanta, or they come back and they play the Mississippi Queens, a team they're extremely familiar with, having opened up the season playing them twice. What's going on with Mississippi? They have lost 2 straight after opening up the season 2-0. They've kind of lost that edge when it comes to the glass and rebounding. The offense has been a little stagnant. It seems as though they're a little out of rhythm, a little out of rhyme, but I think they're going to have an opportunity to kind of reshuffle the deck this weekend. And I expect them to come out and have a very good game against Louisiana. Obviously, they've beaten them twice already this season. We did mention a team that was 2-0, now 2-2, but we also mentioned the Aces undefeated. So 4 undefeated teams remaining: Aces, Lady Wolves, Augusta, and West Michigan. They are all unbeaten through 4 weeks as we get set to enter week 5. And it's getting a little tight, right? Because you look at that South Subdivision 1, the Aces are 4-0, the Lady Cougars are 3-1. You look at that North Lower standings, Lady Wolves 4-0. Richmond, that might be a sneaky team that might surprise as we close out the show with the top 5. But we'll say that for a couple moments. First time out, we'll come back on the other side. We will reset the table as we typically do on WABA Whip Around. As I mentioned, it's very easy. You have to. First and foremost, we always encourage you guys to get social with us. You can check out the lower third right there, womensaba.com. Check them out on IG, the YouTube channels. Just follow these teams respectively. Always help get their subs up on their YouTube channels. Follow all the players on Instagram as well. Some of them are on TikTok, X. All you have to do is a little bit of research. It's well worth it. You can follow some really good talent across the league. So again, we've got some undefeated teams. We've got some teams looking to get their first win of the season. Before we take a break, how about this? Who is really starting to flex their muscle early on? And I said it from the get-go. I said it prior to the season starting. It's the Aces right now. They are flexing their championship muscle. They have just been outstanding on both ends of the floor, offensively and defensively. They can knock it down from beyond the arc. They get to the line. They are going to be a tough out. I did mention that the new look Spice making some changes. We'll talk about that on the other side. Atlanta, Chaos, Blaze, and the Sound all in search of their first win of the season, including Louisiana. Which team's going to get it this weekend. So with that being said, we'll take a quick timeout. We'll come back on the other side. We'll go through a couple games that I've highlighted for a very, very busy weekend. I'll give you some of my thoughts and some of the keys to the game as well. We've still got our stats, our standings. Got to recognize a couple players of the week as well. And then, of course, the top five, Q's top five, as we wrap it up on another edition of WABA Whip Around. So as I alluded to, we will take a very quick timeout. We'll come back on the other side, and we'll see you guys in 30. All right, welcome back, Hoops fans. WABA Whip Around. Rich Quinones here at Rich Q on IG and X, and of course the YouTube channel now rebranded to at Rich Q on Q. We like to keep it very uniform, as we say in the business. And of course, as I mentioned, we've got some games that we have to highlight, if you will. Saturday slate of games: Greensboro versus the Lady Wolves. I mentioned the Chaos, a team that, again, I know I've kind of been high on them. They've had some issues this season. They are winless. The Lady Wolves are 4-0. As I mentioned, the Chaos, are they ready to break through? They just need to clean some things up defensively, especially in the second half of games. They got to get some production from the bench, which, as I understand, is a tough ask at times. In their last outing, they allowed Carolina to work the ball too many times inside. They were chasing points every possession, some bad shot selection. So that's what happens when you find yourself down 10, then 15, and then 20 plus. You get run out of the building. Now, you can argue, to be fair, they should be 2-2. They lost by 5 to Winston-Salem. Oh, by the way, this was after they blew that 20-point lead in week 2 at home against Virginia. Virginia got their first win of the season with a 5-point win. They've got to slow down the pace here, and I think maybe if you don't do that, you're going to have some issues. Look, the Lady Wolves like to push it. They have exceptional guard play. The player to watch here for the Lady Wolves is point guard Daniel Prey. She was brilliant in a 101-83 win over Richmond. She's a Reinhardt University 2017 product. She dropped in 34. You look at her background and her resume, it speaks for itself. United Cup ER champ. As I mentioned, WABA experience, Maryland Jewels, DC Cyclones, NABA runner-up. And oh, by the way, her backcourt mate, Octavia Wilson, is unbelievable. She had 34 as well, and she's netting 25 a game. She's a unbelievable guard. She's fearless on the floor. UNC Charlotte product from 2022. So, that's how you kind of slow down that team. You face guard and you take the ball out of the guard's hands and you frustrate them a little bit. You got to force some turnovers. You got to press a little bit. Remember now, WABA, you got 7 seconds to get across that timeline. If I'm the Chaos, I face guard from the get-go. I try to go full court press. And if I get beat, I get beat. But I need to keep this game close late in the third, heading into the fourth. All right, how about this battle of 95? We always love the DMB battles. Richmond 3-1, Maryland 1-4. This should be interesting, right? I want to see how Maryland responds after getting blown out against Virginia, who got a great game from their point guard, Deja Quick, who, oh, by the way, joined me when we spotlighted earlier this week in WABA Whip Around. That interview is not only on the IG, but also on my YouTube channel, and we posted that on Facebook and X as well. Maryland is a physical team. They got to make this an ugly game, period. Sometimes it doesn't have to be sexy. It doesn't have to be aesthetically pleasing, which means you really have to work the shot clock. You got to get something going offensively. You can ill afford to make this a track meet. Now, you can't win a high-scoring game, in my opinion, but you can win a 70-65 type of game because Richmond is averaging right around 59 a game. Maryland is, in 5 games, right around 78 or so. And listen, at times when you get physical play and the whistles go your way, it's an opportunity to put the ball on the floor and go to the basket. If you can't get your points from the floor in that regard, you got to get them from the line. Now, these two teams met 2 weeks ago. Richmond won it 76-67. The difference in that game was Richmond's ability, as I just mentioned, to get to the line 48 times, 26 of 48. Jenna Nelson, Kayla Green, both 16 in the win. So there's the production that you look for, well-balanced scoring attack. All right, game 3, Louisiana against Atlanta. The Spice are 0-2. Atlanta's 1-2. Had an opportunity to speak to Spice head coach Ricky Woods. Some changes with the roster. Jamaica Jones, no more Taylor Payne. To me, this game offensively for the Spice, it's got to come down to the backcourt. This has to be Christina Young, and it's got to be Chrissy Brown. I reached out to Christina Young, and she said, look, she worked hard this week in practice. She's ready to go. She's mentally locked in and focused, and she's relishing that opportunity. They average right around 12 to 13 respectively. You're going to have to get 15 to 18. And when the shot's falling, the shot is falling. But I would love to see them put the ball on the floor a little more. I've watched how some of these games they officiated, and the referees at times are not as judicious. They're a little more liberal with the whistles. They'll blow them. When you go against a team like Atlanta or Mississippi, who they play on Sunday, you know that there's going to be some fouls called. You know that you're going to have some opportunities to get to the line. Now, if you're aggressive, then you can let a player like Ava Jones play off the ball, get her moving around a little bit. She can create on the floor. They've had 2 weeks off to regroup. So now you can get some things cleaned up on the defensive end of the floor as well. I do believe they acquired Hannah Mountain, 5'7" veteran guard, who played, I believe, at Southside in Louisiana, club ball for Louisiana U as well. She's a really good player. She's a veteran. She's smart with the basketball. So now you're just adding a little more depth. But the other thing that I've noticed too with the Spice, you got to get back and play defense. And because you don't have the height, you do have to really play defense because you need to force some turnovers. If you're getting absolutely out physical and out work on the glass and you're giving up buckets, you got to be able to at least stop some runs. You got to stop some momentum. And I believe they're going to have to try to body up Atlanta. I believe you can frustrate Atlanta a little bit. This is a team, as I mentioned, that if you go and you look at, their track record, right? I mean, they're coming off a game in which they only scored 36 points and they gave up 115. So you've got a wounded team right now, right? As we say, sometimes it's troublesome when you have a wounded animal because when they're backed in the corner, they're going to come out scratching and clawing and fighting, or sometimes they just kind of roll over. I don't suspect that from Atlanta. I think they're going to play hard, but mentally in the back of their mind, look, offensively, 36 points and you give up $115. Here's a perfect opportunity for the Spice. As long as they don't turn it over and just play sound basketball, you can get a win. And again, you get some momentum. And listen, Atlanta was embarrassed and they know that. And that's why I think they're going to come out and they're going to battle and they're going to play inspired ball. But for Louisiana, you got to build some confidence. And I like them in this spot. Brown, Young, Jones. I didn't even mention Deja McKinney as well, who had 40 plus in the opener. Not sure if she's going to be available. Don't turn the ball over. And I think you're going to be okay. Game 4, Steel City 2-1, West Michigan 2-0. Again, we can talk about the guard spot. West Michigan's Mariah McCulley, 38 last weekend. She pulled down 15 boards as well. Steel City, I don't know if they're going to reshuffle the lineup a little bit, the starters, but I've watched a couple of their games. As I mentioned, that's a physical team as well. They like to bang a little bit, and banging and being physical is great. There's nothing wrong with banging and being physical. But ultimately, you have to think about it like this, who are the players that are going to step up, especially early on in the season? That's really what you're looking for. Who are the players that are going to step up? And you look at that Steel City Queens roster, and again, we always talk about you have to have a little bit of size, right? So they've got Emma Stilley, they've got Townsend 6'1", they've got Williams, who's a very good-looking guard. She's 5'7". They got the small forward in Roseman, who's 5'10". They've got some players on that team. I haven't seen that complete effort. Griggs, to me, in only a little bit of time watching, had 19 points, I think it was, against On Point several weeks ago. She seems to be that primary offensive threat. So you got to get the ball, you got to get the ball where she likes it in space, right? So those are a look at some of the games that we wanted to kind of highlight and pinpoint and document. for this weekend's edition of WABA Whip Around. Again, this is a very fast-paced look at the weekend action in the WABA, including updates, recaps, and previews. I also, I go over the scores too during the week, Monday to Friday, with Middays with Q. That's on my YouTube channel as well, because we definitely want to keep getting the word out there with the WABA. And if you are just tuning in again, I'm Rich Quinones, host of The Spice, and you can follow along The Spice on IG and their YouTube channel, and me at X, at Rich Q on Q, TikTok Rich Q on the mic. All right, so when we come back, we will take a quick timeout, and when we come back, we will get into some of the standings, update it. I'll throw you some stats. Also, a couple players to watch, players of the week, players of the game last weekend, respectively. We certainly want to give them a little bit of a shout out as well. So we'll step aside one more time, and then we'll come back and we'll put a bow on this edition of WABA Whip Around. And of course, we will close, as we always do, with Q's Power Rankings. All right, welcome back, everyone. So let's take a look at the schedule for this weekend. As I mentioned, a very, very, very busy weekend. A lot of games. Saturday, this is, and I'm pretty sure, I'll pull it up for you one more time, but we also want to go through it. All right, here we go. So we got upcoming games for this week. I call it a week 5, but we'll call it Saturday, August 2nd. Swish versus the Lady Cougars, Aces versus the Hurricanes, Blaze versus Sound, Virginia versus Greensboro, Spice versus the Queens, Elite Stars versus the Sounds. Now, I'll keep that graphic up, and I'm going to run through it one more time. So you got On Point. That's a 3:30 tip-off tomorrow against Carolina. That I-95 battle, that is also tomorrow, mañana, 2 p.m., Maryland versus Richmond. Savannah takes on Winston-Salem. I actually think it's going to be an interesting game. The Aces, I mean, man, Augusta, they gotta ratchet up that defense. The Aces beat you in so many ways. It's unbelievable. The high level of talent that they're playing with this year, and they've got a bunch of all-stars on that roster. That's a 4 p.m. tip-off. The Spice in Atlanta, that'll be a noon tip-off, so a little coffee and newspaper, and then you get set to go. And as I mentioned, I'll be on the call for that one as well as on Sunday when the Spice take on Mississippi. 3:30, the Blaze against the Sound. Blaze looking to get a win. Steel City Queens against West Michigan Elite Stars. That'll be a 4 p.m. tip-off. Slated tentative 4 p.m. tip-off. Virginia against Greensboro. They've got one game this weekend, and that will be Sunday. That's a 4 p.m. tip-off. The Spice and the Queens, 3 p.m. tip-off. And I do believe, too, it's a back-to-back situation, home back-to-back for Louisiana. So they don't have to travel. But rest assured, that extra day, the fact that game's Sunday, is going to give Mississippi a little more of a breather and a little bit of a rest. And, that team's got to be ticked off. I mean, if you're Louisiana, you try to get that win on Saturday because the Queens are going to be angry. They start the season off 2-0. They're 2-2, and they just have not played well in their last 2 games. They really haven't. And they've got players, whether it's Duran, the guard coming off the bench, whether it's Bree Blunt, Holmes, who can knock down the 3. Williams is a big time player. Aja Williams, Ariel Williams, who is just an unbelievable player as well. Ariel Wilson, good looking shooting guard. I mean, they've got a lot of talent, and they're big and they're physical. They are big and they're physical, and they pretty much have Louisiana's number. I mean, listen, that first game was competitive. The second game, the Spice got blown out of the building. They know it. But I'm looking at this Mississippi squad right now, and that July 19th loss to Atlanta, they only scored 56 points. Defensively, they did a good job, but it was kind of like turnaround is fair play, right? Because if you go and you look at the stats, it was kind of staggering in this regard that Atlanta was able to keep pace with them when it comes to the glass and rebounding. In that game, the Queens had 54. They had 46 defensive rebounds. The Atlanta Angels had 46 total and 30. Offensively, they did a heck of a job, and that's where the second half, the second half points came for Atlanta. They had 17 offensive rebounds, and the Queens only had 8. So Atlanta did a good job. Maybe the Spice go and they look at that film and they realize, okay, here's an opportunity. If we just ratchet it up a little bit, if we clog up, if we congest the middle, if we don't allow Wilson or Williams and Blunt to start to penetrate and kick out the homes, then they have an opportunity again to maybe pick up a win if it doesn't go their way on Saturday. So that's a look at the schedule. As I mentioned, it's a very, very, very busy weekend schedule in the WABA. We'll go through it one more time. On point against Carolina. These are Saturday's contests. Maryland versus Richmond, Savannah versus Winston-Salem, Aces versus Augusta, Spice versus the Angels, Blaze versus Sound, Steel City versus West Michigan Elite Stars, who, oh, by the way, come back Sunday and they play the Midwest Sound, Spice and the Queens, Virginia against Greensboro. All right, let's go through players of the week. Dazia Thornton, 24, 14, and 2. Now, that is a big time effort. That's very impressive. You talk about the balance attack, right? When we look at these girls and they're playing both ends of the floor, that's what you look for. I mean, if that's me, I want to see someone that can score. Absolutely. I love someone that can score, but I also want to see somebody play both ends of the floor. And you got that 5'11 guard from Transylvania University. She's played exceptionally well this season. Just pulling up her numbers right now, 24-16 over the last 2 weeks, 23 rebounds over the last 2 weeks. Here's another thing that stands out. Does not turn the basketball over. She's been very smart with the basketball. So that's a good start for her for this season. All right, and let's also go to our second player of the week that the league recognized as well. And I believe we have to go, where are we going with that one? I believe we're going to Maryland, are we not? I believe we're going to take a little trek down to Maryland and see what the Monarchs got going over there. I believe that was Clemens. Yes, Anaya Clemens, University of Pacific, also UMKC 2022 grad, University of Pacific 2017, 2021. Let's pull up the numbers as we do. 27. This was in a win against Virginia. I believe, is that a win against Virginia? 27 points. Tell you, these girls just play outstanding. This was week 3, 27, 11, and 3. There you go. 27, 11, and 3. That's a heck of a stat line. That's a heck of a stat line. I'm telling you right now, these teams are down 95, whether it's Virginia, Maryland, Richmond, they're good. They're good. They got some players. Clemens, little bio on her. D1 athlete, scored over 2,000 career points, multiple first-team all-conference honors, one of the top scorers in her program history. She's a physical player. As I mentioned, she stands at 6 feet, 6'1" if we're being generous, average 17 a game in Portugal. You go overseas and you play, not bad. High-level experience, leadership, and she's got that motor, and that's what you look for in a player. So congratulations to those two players, respectively, for earning players of the week. Hopefully we'll get one of them on soon, and we'll spotlight them. Always want to remind you to get social with us. Get social with the WABA, womensaba.com, IG, Women's ABA. Check out the link for the YouTube channel. We put it in the show notes. All right, as we start to wrap it up, we will go one more time with the standings, and then we'll give you some quick stats and the top 5. Lady Wolves right now, North lower. Lady Wolves 4-0, Richmond 3-1, Virginia 2-1, DC looking for their first win, 0-2, Maryland 1-4. South Subdivision 1, Aces 4-0, Carolina Lady Cougars sneaky good 3-1, Winston-Salem playing much better 2-2, Greensboro Chaos, I'm telling you, they are getting ready to get a win. I don't know when, but they're going to get one. They're 0-4. Augusta, Subdivision 2, 3-0. Mississippi 2-2, looking to snap that 2-game losing streak Sunday against the Spice. Atlanta 1-2, hoping their offense wakes up a little bit. The Spice, new look, 0-2, have an opportunity 2 times this week to pick up their first win. And the Grizz, still playing hard, but also 0-3 as it stands right now. League leaders. Williams averaging 32, Clayton pulling down 12, dishing out 12 dimes. Gamble having a great season for the Aces, averaging about 6.3 assists per contest. Nunn, 16 rebounds. A heck of a job off the glass. Brown for the Spice, 12, quietly putting together a nice little season. How about the blocks? Winston-Salem, we mentioned. Anytime you play against Winston-Salem, you better think twice before you go in the lane against Jordan Game On. She's just been an absolute beast on the low block, 4.5 blocks, a lot of weak side help as well. Steals, Prey, she was one of the players that we focused on. She's averaging 7 steals. 7 steals a game. So you better have your head up, because they're going to press. All right, let's get you to the Q's top 5 and the power rankings before we get out of here on this Friday edition of WABA Whip Around. And how about this? A couple of changes. I've had some coaches and some players kind of reach out. What do you base these on? I can't peel back the curtain and give you the ingredients. I can't do it. But we know a couple things. The Aces are still the Aces. They're 4-0. The Lady Wolves are 4-0, and they're moving up. Now, remember, a couple weeks ago, we had them in the 3rd or 4th spot. Augusta, 3-0. They were outside looking in. Now they're 3. Carolina Lady Cougars, 3-1. They've moved up. And then Richmond, who was also on the outside looking in a couple weeks ago, they've kind of pushed through, and they are 3-1. Now, yes, granted, I know some teams get given a forfeit. We certainly take that into consideration. We also look at the resume, the body of work. We look at the rosters. We look at how these games turn out, margin of victory as well. So we'll throw it up there one more time. And I'm sure my X and IG is going to be blowing up with some debates and arguments, but it's all for fun, as I said. And again, this is just from my vantage point. As I mentioned, ultimately, at the end of the day, we just want to see competitive basketball, and the teams that are struggling, we want to see you guys pick up a win. I mean, that's what it's all about, right? I mean, winning cures everything, right? It really does. And as we like to say, there's a lot of talent in this league. All the players need to get exposure. All the players need to be spotlighted. The coaches do a good job. The team market owners do a good job. A lot of work goes in to these games, to put these teams together, to build the rosters, to get the venue, to travel. So they have nothing but my respect. They have nothing but my respect. So one last time, standings, couple undefeated teams, Lady Wolves, Aces, Hurricanes, and the West Michigan Elite Stars. They're all undefeated right now. There are a couple winless teams out there, the Sound, the Blaze, the Grizz, the Spice, the Chaos, and also DC. A couple of these teams are due for a win. They really are. They're due for a win, and we might get it this weekend. And then you might get a shakeup. We might get a shakeup with the top 5, especially if there's a major upset and a team trying to upset the apple cart. All right, as we wrap it up on a Friday, just want to also mention you can catch me later today, 4 to 6, Middays with Q on TriX57 on my YouTube channel as well. As always, get social with the WABA. And please follow all the teams, all the players, and also the league as a whole. I will be back behind the mic this weekend for the Spice. Hope you guys enjoyed another edition of WABA Whip Around. Please follow me on all social media accounts, IG and X at Rich Q on Q, TikTok Rich Q on the mic. Also, the YouTube channel is now Rich Q on Q. And as I mentioned, we appreciate everyone keeping us tuned in. As we always like to say, for the teams that are traveling this weekend, get there safe, give yourself a little more time to get there. We want to see some competitive, compelling basketball. Starting to see the crowds kind of pick up and really support these young ladies, and that is what it's all about. So with that being said, hope you guys enjoyed another edition of WABA Whip Around. As always, I'm Rich Quinones, and we will talk to you next time courtside.